Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Arthur Boot. I'm with the statewide GIS program here in the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Today, we are going to have a very informal brown bag session. What I wanted to do was provide people who've been to the Esri Users Conference in the past, just talk about their experiences, maybe some tips and tricks to share with people that are going to be going this year. Some of you, it's going to be your first year going. Others, maybe you've been to previous user conferences, but I think it's just good to share everybody's experiences and in order to get the best experience possible out of the users conference. It's one of the larger conferences that you'll be able to attend. A lot of energy there, a lot of good energy. Before I get started, a couple of things I wanted to note. This is informal, so if at any time you want to ask a question, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask the question or put something in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat on and off. But it is informal, so please feel free to jump in there as long as you're not interrupting somebody. And I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't filled out the our GIS user survey, I'm going to put a link to that in the chat. Please take our survey. We're in the process of renewing our enterprise agreement with Esri, and the survey helps us get our numbers together. We're in the process actually finalizing those numbers this week, probably today or tomorrow. So if you haven't taken the survey, please do. With that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. This is informal, so I'll have a couple of speakers to begin with, and then I'm just going to open it up to everybody who's attending. So to start out with, let me introduce Alan Vinwan. He's from Esri. He's going to talk a little bit about the Esri User Conference from the Esri perspective and hopefully give us some nice tips. So Alan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Arthur. I did have some slides prepared. Do you want me to just talk about it? Right now, I don't have share. Oh, there we go. I think I have capabilities now. Okay, I'm just confirming everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Arthur. Aloha, everybody. Alan Vinloan, I'm a solution engineer with Esri. Here to just take a few minutes of your time to kind of talk about some of like the tips for the Esri user conference for those that are new and also those that are returning. I've been to about 6 user conference now, so I haven't been to that many as a lot of people, but I do have some helpful tips that I'm hoping that can be benefit for the folks that are here today. So let's see. All right. So again, the San Diego Convention Center is huge. This is a huge venue. It's a lot of fun. And this is where it's going to be. It doesn't look that big in this picture, but when you're there walking around, it's a huge convention center. Just wanted to kind of welcome all the new and the returning because there's a lot of excitement, like Arthur said. So as of this morning, we have 31,000 people registered for this event. And in person, it's going to, right now, as of a few hours ago, it's 17,605 people, plus about the 2,500 to 3,000 staff members. So you're looking at around 20,000 people that you're going to be rubbing shoulders with at the San Diego Convention Center. It's a big event, but it's a lot of fun, I promise. This is a general timeline of the events. It actually starts on the 13th and then goes all the way through the 19th. We don't have to go through every single one of these because you're going to receive a lot of resources that will break down all of these resources that are and all the events that are going to be happening throughout this whole week. The number one question that we probably get is like, hey, what should we wear? And to those that have been and to those that are going to be going there the first time, how important your shoes are going to be. So for the most part, people kind of wear business casual to the professional look, depending, some people are like presenting, so they kind of dress up a little bit. But I've seen people show up in shorts and flip-flops, so it's kind of it's really up to you. But the only tip I have is probably try to avoid brand new shoes. You don't want to wear shoes that you're trying to break in. And also in the plenary, it can get pretty cold in there that Monday afternoon. You're just kind of sitting in there. There's a lot of people, the AC's blasting. It does get a little bit chilly. And also throughout the whole week, um, it gets kind of warm during the day, but for the most part, you're not going to be outside. You're inside the convention center. So maybe it might be nice to kind of just wear something that'll kind of keep you warm. And it does get chilly in the evenings, but for you folks on this phone, I know that's freezing for you guys when it hits 70 degrees. So keep that in mind. It does get a little bit chilly. Another question that we get is like, should I bring my laptop? Really depends on what you're trying to do, but maybe in the Monday during the plenary, it's not that critical for you to bring your laptop because you're sitting there watching the presentation. Unless, of course, you weren't wanting to take notes from the presentation, bring your laptop there. Or on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when the expo floor is open, if you're troubleshooting something or if you're trying to show staff specific workflow, maybe it's a good idea to bring your laptop. But for me, it's one thing to have to carry. Unless you specifically need it, I would say just leave it in the hotel room. You don't want to be carrying that thing around, especially in the evening times. To those that aren't able to go back to your hotel room to drop off stuff, you don't want to be carrying a heavy backpack going to these events. And again, just gets kind of heavy after a while. But your best friend for this event is going to be the Esri Events mobile application. So highly recommend downloading this before going to the event so you can familiarize yourself with all the options that are available here. Like most of the information that I'm talking about is going to be available in this application. But most importantly, this will show the schedule that you're trying to target. If you put that little heart on it, it'll add it to your schedule because there's a lot of sessions. You can't attend them all, unfortunately, but you just be strategic about which sessions that you're wanting to attend and keep track of it using this application. The Esri store. For those that are doing a little bit, wanting to do a little bit of shopping, there's an Esri store there, but they do sell out of stuff pretty quickly. If you're there that Sunday, the Sunday afternoon, they're actually already open. So you're gonna get first choice. All the sizes are available, all the colors, all the little things that sell out quick are gonna be available. If you're not there on Sunday, you can also go Monday morning. But throughout the week, they do tend to sell out of like some of the different sizes they do run out, some of the more popular items. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to buy some stuff. The expo floor, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about here, but for the most part, just come prepared with questions. It's probably my number one tip. Because a lot of the Esri staff that are here are, it's not only just going to be your account management team that's going to be there, but it's also the product management and the product engineers. These are the teams that work on the bugs that get submitted. For the most active, you probably get to communicate with these folks throughout the years. They'll respond to you like in the Esri Communities blog, but for the most part, they have limited interaction in person. And this is the one time in the year that they are in front of our users and our customers to be able to talk to you. So come prepared with your hard questions, questions about bugs, workflow recommendations, but I definitely check out the questions you have and look for these people. I wanted to point out the red badge because for our users, you're going to be wearing like a purple, bluish badge, but anybody that has a red badge, I'm sorry, is we've been given specific instructions to be extra helpful. Just any questions that you may have. If you need directions, where products are, ask where's the bathroom, what food recommendations, ask any questions that you may have to anybody that has a red badge, and we'll do our best to be as helpful as possible. We get questions about photo ops, which we kind of refer to as the GIS Disneyland. Jack is kind of like a walking celebrity there, so people get kind of starstruck. It's actually really funny. But if you do happen to catch Jack outside of like the major events that he has too, make sure to just take a photo with him. But Jack actually will take time to chat with you. It's kind of funny because people just want to take a photo and they kind of run away because they're so starstruck. But if you want to have a quick 1 minute conversation with Jack, to totally do it. He's all up. He's up for it. So don't be afraid to ask some of the staff members or people that are there to take photos with you. Because I read this story one time. Jack actually hangs out one of the off hours during like the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday towards the front. There's like an Auntie Anne's there, and he just kind of hangs out in the front with his assistant, just chatting with people, and people are often taken off guard. Is that Jack just hanging out there? And he'll take photos with people. So my recommendation is not only you take a photo with Jack, but actually take a video with Jack, especially if you're getting like that short 10, 15-second clip of just chatting with Jack. So that's always a really fun experience to be able to, if you have the opportunity to do that. And also there's towards the front of the convention center, there's one afternoon or two afternoons where they actually set up where a cameraman sets up where you're able to take professional headshots. So if you need to update like your LinkedIn photos or like your Teams photo, this is a good opportunity to get like that professional headshot. Just keep that in mind. Just additional events that are going on. I know people are busy during the conference stuff, but if you are wanting to get up at 3 a.m. your time, you could do a 5K run, walk, and there's also morning yoga. So just extra fun activities that if you're wanting to do it, that it is available for you to do. Um, for me specifically, I used to always kind of lose my voice towards like the end of the afternoon or like later in the week, just because you've been talking to so many people and having a lot of fun. So just like bring your water bottle so you can keep hydrated, and also candy helps with my vocal cords at least. I know that candy just kind of it just soothes your throat so that you don't lose your voice. Last thing you want is trying to talk to people, but you don't have a voice to be able to do so anymore. So keep that in mind. Take care of yourself. Another tip here is the not so super secret taco truck, which is behind the convention center. The food options that you have is outside, outside in the lawn outside by the Hilton, where there's several food vendors that are available, but the lines can get really long. But around 11:30 to 12, there's this one food truck, like you can see in this picture, that shows up behind the convention center. And they serve amazing Mexican food. Like I always get their fish tacos there. Keep in mind this fish taco they also sell out too, so you want to get there kind of early. This my colleagues would probably kill me for sharing this, but it's because it's supposed to be secret. A lot of the staff members line up, but you'll see a line building up, going up these stairs behind the convention center. And the line might seem long, but they actually go pretty quick. So keep this in mind. Another food option for you. Very delicious. Just for those that are kind of looking for one-on-one appointments, that is available for you to register. This is something if you're wanting to talk to someone who specializes in a specific product. This is ran by our professional services team. So to those that are familiar with our advisors, they'll be there in the specific area of the island. It's nice to be able to schedule something so that you have something on paper, but you can also walk up to them and have these kinds of conversations, whether it's an architectural type discussion, coming up with a geospatial strategy, adoption strategy. But it is nice just having that one-on-one attention, just kind of being able to focus the conversation. So this is available for you as well. And finally, I like to joke around that half of the user conference happens after 5 p.m. because these are just the socials that are hosted by Esri. There's about a dozen more that are hosted by our business partners. So just keep an eye out on those invites and all those different events. But the big one, obviously, is the one on Thursday night, and probably the state and local government on Wednesday night. Those are the ones that you want to make sure you attend. And if you're there early on Sunday, make sure to check out the public safety and the national security social, and they're there. You can't miss them. There's already a lot of people gathering, and I think Claire's going to talk about it in a little bit. Is the HIGICC Pohana happening Monday night, so that's going to be a fun one. And then just additional tips I have, again, just the shoes, wear comfortable, keep in mind about having your laptops. Business cards are always really helpful because you're going to be networking. I know it's pretty exhausting, especially for those that are introverts, just kind of being around thousands of people talking. It is pretty exhausting, but you're only there for a few days, so why not just go all out, right? The demo theaters, they do get packed. Just plan on being there early. Some of the topics and some of the products covered are a little bit more popular than others. So expect a lot of people in those demo theaters. So just the earliest possible you can show up at a presentation, the better. Because all it takes sometimes is if you're walking from one site to another, you run into like a colleague, you run into a former a friend or a staff member that knows you, like a 5-minute conversation. Next thing you know, you're late for your next session. So just keep in mind, try to plan ahead and arrive as early as possible as you can. And for those that might be attending digitally, keep in mind that some of the sessions might be offered twice. So in case you cannot make it on the first time around, you can make it on the second time that it's being presented. And also, a lot of the presentations are going to be recorded and presented virtually. Oh, and one last tip is some of the SIGs, the special interest groups, they do have free box lunches on there. And lastly, you want to have fun. And that's it, Arthur. I'd love to address any questions that anybody may have.
Great, thanks, Alan. Anybody have any questions for Alan? I think there'll be an opportunity too at the end of, I think we'll have some time at the end too, if you want to say.
Sounds good. Will do. Thank you, Arthur. I'll stop sharing right now.
Okay, thanks, Alan. A lot of good information there. There is a lot happening. So as Alan mentioned that the calendar, the scheduling app is, I think, really useful, really important to have because there are so many sessions to go to. So with that, I see Claire is on the line. Claire is the current president of HIGICC, the Hawaii Geographic Information Coordinating Council. She's going to talk a little bit about the one of those socials that Alan pointed out. Claire, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself? Introduce yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. Do you want the 10-minute version or shorter?
Well, let's go with the 10.
Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So HIGICC, like Arthur said, I'm the current president. We just finished our elections to the board and undergoing the elections for the officer position. So I'm just going to go over a bit about the overview, board of directors, mission and goal, some of the activities that we do, scholarships and awards, our upcoming events, and then also some of our membership, sponsorship, and donorship programs. So HIGICC, I have our website here and our link tree. We're also on social media, so please feel free to follow us. We are considered a user group for Esri for Hawaii, and also we are an institutional member with PGRSC, which is the Pacific GIS Remote Sensing Council. We'll be doing a conference in Fiji this year. We'll be doing one annually. We're also members of MISHIC, and we've been working really closely with the GISCI, the GIS Certification Institute that does the GIS professional certification. And if the more active that you are with HIGICC, the more that can count towards your GIS portfolio. So if you are pursuing your GISP, that's always great to keep in mind. So our previous board of directors is here on the left. And then on the right, we recently added Sarah Bryan from the Pacific Disaster Center and Alan Ben-Milan. Welcome to the board, Alan. And then, like I said, we are still undergoing the voting for the officer position. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll have that out. Here's a little bit of our mission, the HIGIS articles in incorporation. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just mention that our goal is to provide the coordination of geospatial activities among a wide range of users in order to avoid duplication of effort, promote data sharing, and maintain data standards throughout the state. Some of the activities that we do include professional development. So every other year we have the Pacific Rim Geospatial Conference. The last one was in 2023. And the next one is going to be in 2025 in the February-March timeframe. We're still looking to secure a venue. Right now we're leaning towards Oahu Ala Moana Hotel, which is the same location we had last year. And this one that's upcoming, we're going to be co-hosting it with HLSA, the Hawaii Land Surveyors Association again. Also part of the professional development, we do workshops, expos, and webinars throughout the year. We recently put together an agreement with HLSA, so we're going to be putting in some money, and they will be as well, to the annual geospatial expos on the outer counties. A lot of folks are saying that there's a lot of events in Oahu, but not enough for the outer islands. So every year we'll have something each for Maui County, Hawaii County, and Kauai County, and try to continue to foster some good working relationships. We also have vendor workshops, so Esri, Friendship Precision, and other folks will do workshops to cover new tools and software and things like that. We'll also do data updates, so we'll have folks from various agencies come together and talk about their resources and tools that we have and their new data sets. We also do Pauhana, so like Alan had mentioned, the next one is going to be at the Esri Users Conference on Monday, on the 15th, and that's going to be at Henry's Pub. We also do annual meeting social that'll be coming up September, October. We just finished the barbecue, and every so often we do like an Expo or some other fun event. We have a couple of working groups that either are in the current state or developing state, and so I'll just list off a couple of them. One of them is bridging the gap between GIS education and GIS employers. So there's been a lot of discrepancy between folks that are coming out of the education system and then falling into employment right off the gate. So kind of getting all those folks in the room, finding out what can be taught and what is needed in the industry, and kind of help close that gap a little bit more. There's also GIS best practices during emergency response. We've had quite a few emergencies pop up, and it's usually the same thing, where folks are scrambling for data, trying to identify authoritative organizations and data sources. So getting together and closing the gap on that as well. And to tie into that, there's the authoritative sources and data working group, and it's essentially just those two things to identify the authoritative sources and the data set. The other one is the geospatial vendor hardware and software alignment with NGS guidance. So this one popped up out of the last conference that we had. I think it was actually Arthur that had mentioned it in the discussion, where the different hardware and software vendors have different solutions that are baked into their systems, and so it was recommended that folks that are users actually be the ones to submit requests to their vendors for the solutions to be in alignment with NGS. So kind of developing a standardized order for folks to be able to use for that process. And for special meetings, we do a quarterly DoD GIS practitioners in Hawaii meeting. It's close to DoD civilians and contractors. We've had 4 now. The next one is going to be the end of July, and Army Corps of Engineers Honolulu District will be hosting that one. And that one is essentially the same spirit of getting everyone in the same room, meeting each other, building those working relationships, find out who does what, best practices, workflows, lessons learned, things like that. We do regular outreach, so we have a GIS day year we're going to be doing a big one. Usually we'll have big ones and small, but this year is going to be a big one, and we're working with STEMworks over at UH Manila, so they'll have some, I believe they're going to be doing elementary students and having different stations set up for them. And we typically will do something with the Hawaii STEM Conference, which is also hosted by STEMworks. Every once in a while, we'll do georeferencing. So this has been a project that's been around for quite some time, where professionals would go and georeference these old 1924, 1928 aerial photos for Oahu and Kauai. But over the years, we've slowly lost folks to be able to have that time to volunteer. So we started going to UH and teaching some of the students how to do it, and then Mahani over at Magus will review the data, check it, and then incorporate into a final roadmap tour, which is publicly available. This MOU we recently started, and it's still in progress, but both boards from HLF and HIGICC have agreed on an MOU for professional drone industry in Hawaii. So currently the drone industry doesn't have their own professional association, so they're kind of spread out between HLSA and HIGICC. So the purpose of the MOU is to ensure that between the two organizations, we cover drone topics and create a forum for professional drone topics and best practices. Every year we offer scholarships and awards. So we do offer typically a $1,000 scholarship to either undergraduate or graduate students. We also offer the President's Award, which is chosen by the HIGICC president. So 2023, we had Mahani and Theodore from the UH Manila Magus. And upcoming events, so there's July 15th on Monday, which is the HIGICC Talhana at Esri Users Conference. The 31st, we'll have the next quarterly DoD GIS meeting. August 9th, we'll be doing the next Geospatial Expo in Talhana, and that one will be on Hawaii Island. It'll be at the Emergency Management Operations Center and hosted largely by County of Hawaii GIS folks. Red Cross has reached out to us about their certification program. They are looking for GIS folks to get Red Cross certified, and so they'll hopefully be doing some webinars for us on what that process looks like and what they're looking for. We're also looking for some support on creating an internal resource to help them be able to expand contractual resources during the emergency event. So kind of getting folks together for that where we can. And then February, March 2025, we'll be doing the Pacific Rim Geospatial Conference. Shout out for our sponsorship and donorship and our membership packages. Don't hesitate to join. We're always looking for active members. I'll skip through the, and then here's a bunch of links for our online presence and social media. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. I wanted to get back to the UC event. Where do people need to get in touch with you, or is it on your website?
Yep, it'll be on the HIGICC website under events, and it'll be the first one on there. I'll put it in the chat address.
And I'm sorry, what day was that again? Was that on the Monday?
Yep, it'll be on Monday, July 15th, and it'll be 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Henry's Bar.
And that's open to anybody, right?
Correct.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Yeah, I don't see any hands up. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Claire put the link in the chat if you're interested in getting together. It's a good social. There are times I've been there have been about anywhere from a dozen to a couple dozen Hawaii folks getting together. It's the last couple of years, I think it's been on Monday. which is also the day of the plenary, and also when the map gallery opens. Or after the map gallery opens, I guess. So it's been a good get together after that first day. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to the folks on the call. In particular, I'm interested in hearing from people who went either last year or the year before, or who have gone in the past. Just to talk about, along the lines of what Alan talked about, what your advice is to people who are going for the first time, or what your experiences were in the time or the times that you've gone. You heard Alan give his packing tips. Anybody else have any additional tips on what to pack or what not to pack? Lisa.
For me, I would bring 2 pairs of shoes. So I would wear one like pair of tennis shoes and then switch it out to a different pair of tennis shoes. Once my feet started hurting, and that seemed to help. That's just my little tip. And I'm really looking forward to that taco truck. I did not know about that.
Don't tell them I told you.
Okay.
DINLUAN. Okay, so I see a question from Xi Chao about the Monday morning check-in to pick up the badge. Anybody want to talk about what to do on that when you arrive? Presumably it's going to be Sunday, so maybe some of you on Monday. I don't want to have to call on Lisa again. Anybody else? Chelsea.
Yeah, it'll be a busy Monday morning, but I think they anticipate a lot of people coming in Sunday night, especially from the mainland. So the line moves fast. I would just suck it up, go like first thing in the morning when it opens, but I don't think it took me more than 15 minutes in the line last year, and I had to pick it up on Monday morning.
Was the pickup only at the convention center, or were they at hotels as well?
I think the hotels, I think it's only on Sundays. Because I think I looked up like alternative ways to pick it up, but I think they all closed in Sunday afternoon, and I didn't get in until Sunday at like 10 o'clock at night.
Hmm. Okay. What about where to eat? Any other tips on where to eat from people who've been before? Besides the secret, not so secret taco truck? Most of you get stuck. Oh, go ahead, Chelsea.
For the plenary, I had enough time to go to Tacos El Gordo, which is a really popular taco spot. It's a couple blocks up, but I recommend people bringing snacks or like really planning out ahead of time where they want to get lunch, just because it is a walk. I'm trying to look up the place, but for breakfast, there is a really good deli pretty much right across the street from the convention center that had like massive breakfast burritos, but I can't remember the name of it.
Chelsea, was it that the deli inside that convenience store? It was like a liquor shop.
Yep, that
Yeah,
sounds like
that's
the one. It's
that's
really
what-
good breakfast burritos, and they're
Yeah.
huge. Like I ate it for breakfast and lunch.
That's a good one.
Jenna.
Oh, hi. If you are looking to go the cheap route, there is food all over the conference. So, there's different ballrooms, there's different areas. And so maybe one ballroom doesn't have food, but the next ballroom might have bagels. And then there might be free lunches in another one. And then there'll be evening parties and soirees that you can go to, different events all over the entire convention center. So if you're looking to be on a budget, you can find food everywhere at the convention center.
So you talked about soirees and events. What, Chelsea, or is your hand still up? from
I
before.
was just gonna echo what Jenna said. You don't have to pay for dinner at all during the conference if you plan it right. Just go to the events at night and you can even event hop, but last year was kind of nuts. It was really busy, so you might be stuck in lines, but go early to the events and you probably won't have to pay for dinner.
Absolutely.
So what events are can't miss? Which events had the best food? What was your favorite? event?
YPN, I believe the federal and the state. I just I hopped around.
You did it correctly.
I did a what is it? I forget what the events are specifically called, but I just did a crawl basically.
And where are these events for people that haven't gone before?
They're at the hotels usually. There's some in the conference center, but the ones at the hotels tend to have better food. And if you're, I mean, I don't think they really have an age limit, but the young professionals networking um group has good food. And if any of you are going and you have open positions, that might be a good place to recruit young workers possibly.
Alan or Todd? I see Todd Kingman on the call. Where is the the Esri state and local government one, or the government
Sure.
social?
The state and local government social, which happens on Wednesday nights, happens right in between the convention center and the Hilton. There's a huge lawn there where it gets reserved, but there's actually three parties going on right next to each other. And you're gonna find like in the big open area is the state and local government, and then right next to it, I believe, is the is it the I don't know if it's a national government. I think it's the national government one right next to it, and then right next door in the Hilton swimming pool area is the YPN. And a quick note about the YPN is like it's not limited by age. It's kind of limited by being like like 5 years and under in the GIS profession. So you're not limited by age there, but the younger crowds tends to gravitate to that specific party just because of being fresh out of graduates and stuff. But like it's not limited by age.
Are these socials in the calendar thing in the
The
online
Esri,
app
they
thing?
will, yep, the Esri hosted ones will be, but some of the partners ones may not be, such as like the AWS partner with Rock. There are some parties that are a little bit more exclusive because you have to get in the list. So you maybe if you want to talk to when you're walking around in the expo floor, ask him about the party. Hey, are you guys having any social events happening afterwards? They'll send you an invite to the party. They'll get you added to the list. Because some of the events they are open to anyone, but some of them are strict about like having the invite only list. But if they can get you on that list, by all means, hop in there and enjoy some of the free food and feel free to socialize.
And are you able to hear me? Am I coming through?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I've been having some problems with my headset. I just put a couple of links in the chat. So the first link is a link that goes to the information about the state and local government social. And then the second link is actually a filtered list of all social activities. Like what Alan said, it doesn't include ones that's put together from our partners, but that's a comprehensive list of the Esri sponsored socials that's going on.
Great, thanks. Okay, anybody else? How about the Thursday night party? Nobody's talked about that yet. Todd or Alan or anybody who went?
It's awesome.
Yep.
Go early. It gets crazy.
It does. It does get a little crazy. A lot of the users they also bring their families there too, so you get a lot of families running around. But the fun thing about that event is if you explore kind of like the nooks and crannies of each of those museums that open up. Now, for example, like you might find entertainment in the first floor. They'll find like a different set of food offered on the second floor, and on the third floor, there's like different vantage points of not just the museum, but the whole park itself. So feel free to explore the entire area. You're not restricted to just like the first floor of these museums. Some of the best views you'll get are on the second floor, overlooking like the huge party that's going on downstairs.
Yeah,
And I'll, oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Just piggyback on that a little bit, is there is food everywhere in Balboa Park, all those buildings,
Mhm.
and sometimes on multiple floors and different types of offerings.
Right.
And as Jenna or Chelsea said, go early because it is super, super crowded. You'll end up standing in long, long lines just for the food.
The lines do get long, but it's good vibes just because you end up like chatting with the people that are you're in line with. For me personally, when I went there, like it's nice being able to find individuals that are just kind of like whether they're by themselves or they came alone to the user conference. And this isn't just restricted to the Thursday night party. We try to seek out like those that just, you can tell they might be a little bit timid, a little bit shy. Just chatting with complete strangers is kind of one of the best parts about the user conference, is just getting to know people from different backgrounds and what brought them there in the first place. It's really interesting getting to know different folks there.
And
And I can speak to like as a before I worked for Esri, I attended the conference as a user, and yeah, that party is a lot of fun. Like what Arthur is saying, there's food everywhere, and it's like different types of food depending on the different buildings. I remember there's a big stage with a band and a lot of people just kind of hanging out and dancing, and it's a really good time. I think, after spending the conference, there's so much information that you're taking in, and that's an absolutely interesting part of the conference, is the amount of that you're exposed to and what you learn. But this is really, caps things off nicely to kind of just let loose and enjoy yourself and relax and socialize and have a good time. So it's a fun aspect of the conference to kind of wrap things up with the week.
And one more quick tip about the Thursday night Balboa party. You'll see the lines start forming for the bus because everybody gets shuttled from the convention center to the Balboa Park, but those lines can get really, really long as well, depending on how early you're able to line up in front of the convention center. If you're coming from the hotel, or even if you're coming from the convention center as well, it wouldn't hurt. And we've done it before, to take an Uber or a Lyft to Balboa Park just to beat the crowds. Like you'll get there before anybody else does. You'll be able to get in line for the food a lot quicker. You'll have no lines on the first two food choices that you have, depending on which museum you visit. But by the time you try to go to maybe like the third or fourth place, that's when the lines are already there. But at the same time, that's where all the entertainment is already out and about as well.
Hey, Chelsea.
Hello, sorry, me again. I had a little bit of a comment with the lines and stuff with the Thursday party that kind of goes with the question that was asked about the safety. I do not recommend walking to Balboa Park. I attempted that last year, and there were some parts where I was walking by myself. It was still like broad daylight, and I felt unsafe in some parts. So I do not recommend walking to Balboa Park. Um, and like regarding the safety in the evening, actually I felt a little bit more unsafe sometimes in the morning than in the evening, because people are still out and about. Like there's a lot of people who take advantage of the conference, and like there's plenty Pauhanas, and people are like chit-chatting, they're catching up with old colleagues. So the main road that I stayed on, I know it was like a road that they shut down parts of it, like the road itself, for pedestrian traffic. So there's like plenty of pedestrian traffic throughout the evening. But if you're not staying on a main road, you probably, like Claire said, would want to have a buddy. But yeah, do not recommend walking to Balboa Park.
And Alan, when I attended as a user, I've actually never been as an employee, but I remember there was some buses that shuttled users to Balboa Park. Are they still doing that? Do you know?
Yep. Those are the buses that are still there. There's going to be dozens of buses shuttling people to Balboa Park and also going back to the convention center.
So that's an option too to consider besides, I think, Ubering or other
That's like,
transportation
that's
alternatives.
mostly the primary mode of transportation. You'll just see hundreds, thousands of people taking those bus shuttles. But if you just wanted to get in front of the crowds before it really gets really packed at the Balboa Park, definitely want to take the Uber or Lyft. But you know, you can certainly take the bus as well. Just a quick note about the safety, just kind of seconding what has already been said. In the evening, there's going to be a lot of activities. People are out and about, mostly in the gas lamp area, but you can kind of see where people are walking to and from the convention center, and try to stay in groups as much as possible. There are still some areas that you wouldn't want to venture out to, but you'll be able to tell where you probably don't want to walk around. Because honestly, there's not really like bars or like restaurants in those areas where you don't really want to walk by yourself. But yeah, just a little bit of common sense, stay in groups. Yeah, there'll be plenty of people running out and about in the evenings as well. But it's not too late into the night.
Okay, thanks. We want to get back to the exhibit hall a little bit. I think Alan laid out some of the activities and stuff that you can do at the exhibit hall. For the ones that have been in the past, anybody want to share any stories or experiences on what happens downstairs or in the sessions, the user or technical sessions? Okay, if not, favorite thing? Best thing besides Balboa Park? Best thing about the conference for anybody?
I think for me, I did bring my laptop with me. And after I went to like a nice talk or a good like section that kind of pertained to some of the projects I was working on, I would actually set my laptop up and start doing it. And then I didn't have like a preset meeting with like an Esri professional, but I was able to sit down there and talk to them on the Expo floor. So if you have questions about a particular project, I would load it on your computer because you do have the opportunity to go and talk to someone. So I got a lot of problems like done right there on the spot.
And I think that's one of the best things, personally, I think that's one of the best things about the conference is that opportunity to talk to Esri folks in person, the ones, you know, often it's the product developers or the product team to talk about product problems or issues or questions that you might have to get that one-on-one experience right there. Lisa.
Yeah, another thing down there on the floor is there's a lot of partners, and I've gone and talked to the Census Bureau and asked them specific questions, and if they couldn't answer them, they would email me later with, you know, how to do it. So if you have a problem, they'll really help you. All the people down there will try to help you figure it out.
Now that's another good opportunity. I know it's the state GIS program. A lot of state GIS programs are there. So I have several opportunities to meet with and talk to colleagues in other states to talk about their experiences. So that's something else you might think about if you're working already with colleagues in other states, or as Lisa said, other organizations. It's a great opportunity to get together there in person. Anybody else? Anything to avoid? Anything that didn't go well or you didn't like?
I think you have to know not to try to get to every session you're interested in, especially if they're on the opposite ends of the convention center, because you'll end up walking like, I mean, unless you're okay with this, like 10 miles a day. So you need to you need to make, you know,
That's when that second pair of shoes comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the talks on like the expo floor, the lower levels, like they got filled up really quick where the rooms were just like super packed and like it was 4 rows deep back. So if there's a talk that you really want to see, you really got to get to it early. If it's in a ballroom, it's not so bad, but if it's on the expo floor in a small setting, you got to get there early.
Yeah, the demo theaters, yeah. It can be hard to hear a lot of times. Chelsea.
Yeah, to echo what Lisa said, I planned like a lot of I went for transportation oriented sessions and a lot of them were in a hotel separate than the convention center. So I basically just planned I think it was like the Tuesday that I was just going to be at that hotel the whole day just because going back and forth was just not going to be useful and I know a lot of the sessions are now available online, so there's no like FOMO, fear of missing out. You'll see it later. But I also want to say, like, give yourself downtime. I ended up getting sick after the conference. So give yourself downtime, especially if you're like a very extroverted, go, go, go person.
Ooh.
Give yourself some time during the day to decompress.
That's what the parties are for. The socials are for.
Yeah, but I did the socials and I did the 5K and I did all the workshops and the sessions. I like left early and came back late every day and I paid for it.
Must be the 5K. So Chelsea mentioned, I think Alan might have mentioned it. There is a opportunity to, if you're not going in person, to register digitally or to register for the digital access to the UC. Just be aware that not every session is live streamed or recorded, but a good number of them are. So it's a good way to attend the UC virtually. And also, if you register for the digital access, you will have access to the recorded sessions after the UC. They're not there forever, but in order to view them later, you need to have registered beforehand for the digital access. If you go to the esri.com/event site, there should be a link there under the UC to register digitally. So I encourage you to do that. The conference is in less than a week, so I think you only have a few more days to do that. Claire?
Some thoughts. So last year when I went, it was my first year that I'd ever gone. So I definitely had some lessons learned. I brought my laptop with me, which I regretted because it was so heavy. So I think this time if I do bring it, I'll probably end up leaving it in the hotel and just carry either a notepad or like an iPad with me to take notes. And then there's tons of swag, free swag. And so having a backpack was really helpful. Or like if I was going to go to the store, the Esri store, and grab stuff, having a backpack to put stuff in was great. And then I think this year I'll probably end up bringing one or two water bottles. So one for water and then maybe the other for the coffee. They do have free coffee there, but I was thinking about just pouring into a thermos so that once the coffee line is closed, then I can just have that for later in the evening. It was super overwhelming my first time. The echo in the conference room just kind of feels a bit dizzying and disorienting, but I'm also an introvert, so maybe that had something to do with it. So I think taking breaks periodically or stepping out would have been a good idea. And then something I didn't anticipate was that for some of these rooms where it was too crowded, they had overflow rooms, and they didn't always have the overflow room right next to it, and there's a little bit of a hunt to try and find it. But yeah, those are mine.
Yeah, those are great tips. Yeah, the overflow rooms, I don't know how new they are, but I've only been to a few conferences. I noticed it last year was the first time I noticed it, but they are a great option if it's a popular session. to be able to attend. I'm going to put in the chat a link to a recording we did last year of the same kind of thing. We had an Esri presenter, and then we had some, I think Christine Chaplin, who was with our program at the time, had a presentation as well about some of her tips. So it's, a lot of it covers what we're talking about today, but still a lot of great tips to be had there.
One thing I wanted to just bring up, and maybe it's on some people's minds that are attending. I know that different people, there's different levels of people and how risk adverse that they are, especially when it comes to things like, COVID, but there's an especially transmittable strain of COVID going around right now. And of course, getting a lot of people together. There likely are going to be a lot of people that are unmasked. If that's something that you're sensitive or concerned about, make sure you bring a set of masks that it's going to cover you for not only the time period, the multiple days, but a long day of wearing masks and talking and stuff like that. So I myself, I'm pretty risk adverse, so I tend to wear masks a lot. So just thought I'd bring it up because, certainly the strain of COVID, there's a lot of people that are getting sick. And I think there's been news that, especially in California, there's been a lot of spread of COVID.
Yeah, good to know. Thanks. Thanks, Tom. So only a couple minutes left. Anybody? Claire, you still have your hand up? Is that new or is it left over? Okay, any last thoughts from anybody? If not, I've got some. Okay, I'm looking at the presentation we did last year, looking at the description there, and there are some tips that we haven't talked about. So one is what happens on a day-by-day basis. If you're coming in on Sunday, that's when you're gonna probably want to do your check-in and get your badge and your bag of swag. Monday's a plenary session. I mentioned the map gallery opens that evening after the plenary. The map gallery is upstairs in the convention center, and it's where users have brought or sent in maps. It's just filled that room, that large room, with maps, but there's also food. So it's an opportunity for a lot of good free food and drink. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are all the sessions. And again, tons of sessions. Time between sessions. For most sessions, there's at least a half-hour break. I'm not sure. So I'm reading from the tips from last year. I'm not sure if that's true still. It seems like a long break in between sessions. Si Chao, battery charger for phone. Anybody?
Good idea to have in just like a smaller one that you can pocket just to give your phone a little boost, just because you might be taking pictures, you might taking videos. It'll definitely drain your battery just throughout the day. But yep, there's going to be a lot of plugins that you can use around the convention area.
Chelsea.
I never travel without a power bank. You can get them for like $15 at Walmart, just a small one. And it'll last through, it'll get you through the day. I would suggest buying that.
Okay, well, I see we're a little bit over time. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I am recording this session. I'll put it up on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/at Hawaii State Planning 1832 for some reason. Let me put that in the chat as well. So you can check there. Probably be up there in the next day or two. with that, thank you everybody for joining today, and have a good conference if you're going to the conference.
We'll look forward to seeing you guys there, those who are attending.